Okay guys, so today we're gonna do our quick recap on the trades that we're taking today. Today we traded a total of 3 stocks. We traded FAT, IGC, and NTN. So the first one that we'll go over the cleanest one, which was FAT. So today's action was pretty clean. It was at least for the first half of the morning. So here we can see that we had this huge move from $3 actually from $4 or $3.50 all the way up to a high of 12. It pulled back to VWAP, then it bounced back up from that level up to a high of 12.40. It did pull back to VWAP, this orange dotted line, popped back up, and then here it failed this level, and then here we can see that it opened, and then we had a nice little flush. The way I traded this one was after a halt resumption. So this stock, it opened up, it halted going up. It actually opened pretty low. That's the reason it halted going up, because it opened so low, squeezed up to a high of 981 where it halted, then it squeezed up at 1025, halt resumption, and then it came back down. It halted at 915. So I was watching this for a bounce of the $0.50. Usually that is a good spot for support, the $0.50. So 915, it was a pretty hard drop from a high of 1025 down to 915. I was watching for the $0.50 support. $0.50 is 850. So on resumption, it opened around 871, and then we did get that flush down to 850. So I jumped in there around 850 and then sold up at 9, and so that was a pretty nice move, and then sold the other half at around 875, around that level. So the reason that I sold half and then held the other half was for potentially a move back up. You know, if I was to sell the whole position up here, yeah, it would have been more profit in this scenario. But in other scenarios, you still have there and hold the remaining amount for the move higher. And then if you want to just continue to scale out as it's going up, or you want to add as the stock's going up and then take your profit. But in this case, and that's not always, sometimes it's best just to take it all off the table, and sometimes it's better to take half and then let the other half ride. But you just never know. Some of these stocks, they're not as predictable. I mean, they're pretty predictable, but they're not predictable enough to where you could predict that whether, okay, if you hold half, this stock's going to keep going higher, or should I take it all out of the table? Or you might be able to predict it, but I'm not at that level yet. One day, hopefully. So on FAT, it looks like that was the last trade on that one, just one trade, and pretty solid one, I would say. And then we traded NTN. We traded NTN. This one we took a few more trades. I feel like I over traded this one, unfortunately. So it was trading around 175. It squeezed up all the way up to 585. It pulled back, broke VWAP. So it's showing weakness. Here it tried to break it, did not break it. It failed, came down pretty hard from a high of 391 down to 342. It was just weak. And then out of the market, as soon as the market opened, we started to get this little squeeze up, broke VWAP, pulled back, and then rode VWAP. And here's a very nice, would have been a nice entry at 355. If I would have been watching it on the 5-minute, but I didn't. I wasn't watching it at the time. So here it broke 355. As you can see here, this little bull flag volume pattern. You know, you get declining volume, and then you start getting green volume bars here for a potential move higher. As you can see here, we had this little pullback here, and then for the squeeze up. So we'll jump into the 1-minute chart and see how this was traded. I'm not very happy on the way I traded it. It wasn't as easy for me, not this one. It was a little bit choppy. Got chopped out. Okay, so this high on this candle was 355. It tapped VWAP, it pulled back. So this right here is the same setup as the other, what I just showed you right now on the other chart, which is just a 5-minute chart. That's the only difference. So here 355, a little pullback here, and so we have a 2 and 3 in 1 setup really. A break of this apex point, a break of VWAP, and a micro pullback. Very strong. A little bit of increasing volume. Here we do have more red volume bars, so that is a little bit alarming. But in this case, it overcame that. So 355 would have been the entry for a squeeze up to 412. Very nice move up here to 412. I jumped in this one. I was thinking it was going to continue to go higher, which it very well had a chance to do it, but it just happened to be one that didn't move right away. That's at least not where I jumped in it. So it resumed after the halt opened at 413. I could have bought a little bit sooner, probably around in the 20s, lower 20s, maybe in the high teens, and for the move higher up to 437, and took my profit there. But I waited too long on this one. I decided to wait to get more volume, more green volume buying, and I did. I ended up paying a little bit higher for it, and that's why the loss. Basically, it did not hold up. So it resumed. I bought around 431, and then it immediately found resistance up there. I could have stopped out quickly, but I decided to add on the drop because it dropped nice, a good 10-11 cents like right away. So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna add here. I added to my position around 420. It actually dropped down to 415. I tried to add there, got filled around 422, and then it stopped. It popped up just a little bit, sold some up here, right under 430, and then the other half I had to sell down around 410, 411. So that trade was probably a loss, just because I waited too long on the entry and I just wanted confirmation. It's just one of those that did not work. So that's kind of good to take note of, that stocks aren't really working right now. Well, this one wasn't after the halt for the move higher. So maybe just keep an eye on dip buys. Okay, so here we can see that it did make a move after the after this first 1 minute candle. So it pulled back. The high of this candle is 418. This right here 418. So the setup here would have been a micro pullback. So here it pulls back on this candle down to 395. You could have bought down at support around $4 for the move higher, or you could have waited for this bull flag entry or micro pullback entry. So a break of 418 up to a high of 450, very nice, and then a squeeze up to 480. So from 418 up to 480, and then you take your profit as high as possible. That would have been a very nice trade. I was watching it, but I was kind of thrown off by this trade here. This wasn't a very big loss. It was a loss, but it wasn't a nasty one. I was able to manage it, and that's the thing. I'm able to manage the losses whenever they don't drop 80 cents on one candle. In a matter of milliseconds. Those are just hard to manage. This one was manageable. I could have actually stopped out a little bit sooner, but I ended up stopping out where I did. I gave it a chance. It popped up to 430, basically my entry level, and I just kind of I gave it a chance. It did not work, so ended up stopping out. So this one, it pulled back here after this high, and it popped all the way back up to 497, and here it pulled back. I did jump in here where I thought I had seen support. Now on this one, I'm not sure what I would have done differently. Maybe probably a red flag was that we had two dojis back to back. So that was kind of like, dojis is like where you have a big candle wick up top and a big wick down at the bottom. It's basically a candle of indecision. You know, you don't know where and what direction it's going to go in. And the same here. You know, you had this shooting star doji, which indicates a reversal. And here we can see it did pull back, squeezed up here, two doji candles. I thought I was jumping in here at support at 450 for, you know, from 490 down to 450, possibly back up to 470, 480, maybe 5. I jumped in 450. It bounced up to like 452, and then it just came down to 440. I saw a big bid support at 40, but I saw that it was being taken out, so I ended up bailing out of my position there for a 10-cent loss. It did continue to go lower, down 432. Here you can see that it came all the way down to 397. So I guess one thing that I could have, and I did kind of see this, but I kind of ignored it because I'm not sure why. I was just kind of distracted, I guess. So this right here, whenever I was kind of thinking about taking this trade, I was like, well, this stock has potential. It has support down here at 420 because of this candle pullback, 420. So if this fails, there's a chance that this might come down to 420. But that was like, well, I guess I'm willing to take that risk. You know, at least it'll be a 30-cent stop for my entry if it was to flush. So I went in and took the trade. I guess it was attracted more to 420 than it was, you know, up here at the high of 497. In this case, it did not hold, and I ended up stopping out on that one. So I'm glad that I was able to, you know, take a very small loss on it. I was able to stop out immediately, basically, because I was like, well, this isn't working, so I'm going to get out. Okay, so here we can see that it came down to vwap to the penny, basically 386 vwap, and 386 is the low. vwap is this orange dotted line, the low of this candle. It bounced off of the support, and here it squeezed up big doji candle here, candle of indecision. Now this could have easily gone the other way, but it found support here, so that shows strength. So it bounced up to a high of 518, pulled back, and then hit a high of 530. I did jump in this one for a whole dollar support entry. I jumped in right a little bit above $5. I tried to get filled at 5. I got filled like at 503. It bounced up to 510. It actually hit a high of 530, but got out pretty quick because it didn't break out right away. So I was like, well, this thing might turn around. It's already kind of at its highs right here, so there's a good chance that it could turn around. And sure enough, it did. I mean, we have this doji here. This is kind of like a shooting star doji right here, but it's a green one, so it's a little bit tricky. Doji here, candles of indecision. If it breaks support of $5, we'll definitely get a flush, and we did. From 5 down to 480, and then continue to go lower, 463, and it just kept going lower. So I jumped in here for entry of $5, sold up here at 510. Nice little 10-cent profit. So basically kind of break even. After all these trades, took 3-4 trades here, it was like one winner, one loser, one winner, one loser. So it was like a break even trade on NTN. NTN to me was not very clean. It was kind of tricky. Now what indicated me that it was going to be tricky, maybe this huge pop-up here on pre-market, pop-up here, pulled back all the way back up, high of 575, chopped around here, flushed all the way down to VWAP, broke VWAP hard, just kind of consolidated here. So all over the place. And that's kind of the same that it traded during market hours. You know, it popped up, failed, popped up, halted, went up, came down to support, bounced back up. It's kind of all over the place. Not very clean. To me, it wasn't. And then the last one was IGC. Let's see, IGC. This had made a move yesterday. Let's jump into the daily chart. Here we can see that it was trading around 75 cents, and yesterday hit a high of 275, and today candle. Today was continuation basically. It hit a high of 450 and it pulled back. It is a big red candle, not very attractive. So we'll jump into the 1 minute chart and look at the way that was traded. Here we can see pre-market, that it was kind of like a non-eventful pre-market action. The only reason why we were kind of watching it was because of continuation. Now continuation would have been a break of, let's see, 267 candles high on that one. You know, once it breaks that high, it's potential to move higher. It did open a lot higher. It opened up at 344. So we'll jump into the 1 minute chart real quick. I believe I only took one trade on this one, so it'll be quick. Let's see. So out of the market open, this one failed. It opened at 344, hit a high of 346. Potential it could have break 353, but for a move higher. But I wasn't too sure about this one. I'm glad I stayed away from it because it hit 346, it hit a wall, and it came all the way down to 281. So that's pretty pathetic. So it broke the VWAP, showing weakness, could not hold the whole dollar. Actually, the half dollar, it came down to 305, and then on this next candle, it did break that whole dollar support down to 281. Here it bounced around, came to VWAP, and then here it broke VWAP pretty strongly. So VWAP breaks are something to keep an eye on. I mean, we have been seeing VWAP entries that have been pretty nice, and micro pullbacks as well. So 320 is the high of that candle. That potentially could have been, we could mark that level out for an entry there at 320. And then let me move this over here. So we get this little pullback, micro pullback. Once we've established this apex point, a little pullback here. We know the high is 310. So we have another 3-in-1 setup on this one. We have this apex point here at 320. We have a micro pullback here over 310. And then, you know, it breaks that level, and we break that level, this level, and the break of VWAP. So here it pretty much exploded. If you would have got in around 310, it breaks 321, hits a high of 327, pulls back momentarily around 320, and then it breaks out all the way to 450. So from 320 to 450, very nice. So here we had this move up at 372, pulled back, broke that high, and then here it pulled back, and then broke that high, pulled back, micro pullback, broke that high to squeeze up to 450. The way I jumped in this one was, it was trading around, it hit 450, came down to 440, and then it dropped 20 cents immediately. I jumped in there on that drop, and I sold for a 10-cent profit. And I was quick to get out because I was buying basically at the top. 410, 412 is support on this candle. It's a nasty shooting star doji, so chosen with a high amount of volume too. So definitely a reversal candle. So 410 comes all the way down to 377. It does bounce around here, but you do not want to be caught in this flush. All right, guys, so that's it for today. I took a few more trades, quite a few trades today, but overall I'm pretty happy, especially with the first trade. I think something to keep an eye out for is VWAP trades, micro pullbacks, and the apex points, which are these levels right here that's set up. All right, guys, any questions, just holler at me.